in these categories are eligible to compete in other youth national championship events so long as they don't compete in a varsity category event. So that's what's going on here. But typically these are this is the second fastest 8, unless you're under 17.8, which we'll get into later, is faster than this second varsity 8, which can happen from time to time. So looking up front, maybe it's St. Joe's Prep by a seat. You can see the bowman in the prep boat is just slightly ahead of the bowman in the Newport boat, that gold boat. And what a race up front between these two. And then furthest, it looks like the PNRA Mercer B entry is actually sitting in third place. And you can see they're only about a deck behind the boat from Newport, as well as the boat from New Trier. Those two are pretty comparable to one another in terms of speed. This is quite the race that we have going here, Lindsay, as they come through 500 meters. And it looks like actually 750. These boats are flying. They went, the leaders went sub 130. We could have a sub 6 race here in a second varsity event. We do have good flat water. It wouldn't be unheard of, but the conditions have really set up for a very fast race course. We saw tremendously fast speeds in the time trial yesterday. And look at this race up front as Newport makes it closer with Prep.
You know, and speaking of potentially having a sub 6 minute here in this 2V event, it is quite possible. If you take a look at the time trials, yes, it was a shorter race, but based on kind of, you do the projections, these crews are set up to go quite fast down this race course. You know, here we are in the big boats, we're halfway down the course, you know, still so much contact, so much overlap. These boats move so quickly down the course that really it's still anyone's game. You have 6 seconds to length separating first through sixth at this point, just a second or so separating the top 3 crews. That means tons of overlap still. It is currently still St. Joseph's Prep out in front with Newport right next to them, sitting in second place. And as I say at PNRA Mercer, they're still in third, but it does appear to be close with New Trier and PNRA Mercer B flanking them in lanes 2, but then also over here in lane 6. So for the top 3 crews that will advance in this men's youth 2v8 semifinal 1, it is quite close to figure out who our top 3 will be.
Yeah, these two Mercer boats are going at one another. And it's going to be interesting to see which one prevails. The A boat has now moved past the B boat. The B boat was actually leading the A boat for the first 750, but they certainly know each other pretty well. They know their speeds. Can the B boat really start to challenge the A boat and see if they can't maybe turn the tables on their teammates? I certainly know that if I was in that B boat as a coxswain, man, I would just be calling off that boat, period. These are your teammates. You've ended up in the B boat. You shouldn't be the B boat. We're the A boat. Is what I would be telling them. As you see the lead for St. Joe's Prep swell to about a half a length. You still have Newport right there just below them on the screen, and you have PNRA Mercer almost level with that boat from Newport. You can see the times come through. It's less than a half a second between Newport and Mercer A. And then it's actually, at least on the times, it's New Trier by a tenth of a second there at 500 meters to go ahead of the B boat from Mercer.
And as we come down to the last 300 or so meters, we can expect that these boats will ramp it up, particularly as their coxswains are going to get more and more excited. There's just so much motion happening. There's so much going on that just swells the excitement even more. So if you're down there on the shore, give them a yell. They can hear at least that droning sound of everything that's going on here, which will only elevate their game even more. And as the two boats, the 2 yellow hulls flanking our leaders from start to finish, St. Joseph's Prep, as PNRA Mercer's A boat and Newport put pressure on one another, as this finish line unfolds, it puts even more pressure on St. Joseph's Prep, who did come through the time trial with an open water margin of speed relative to the rest of the crew. But when you're in lanes next to other hulls, we see what happens to those types of leads. You can never take a single stroke for granted, particularly as that finish line is quickly approaching. And it's Newport that appears to be having overtaken, having maintained their margin over PNRA Mercer, and they are certainly taking back that lead that St. Joseph's Prep had, cutting it into a very small amount. But St. Joseph's Prep still seems to stay composed as they cross the finish line in first, with Newport taking second, PNRA Mercer in third, New Trier in lane sixth and fourth, and on the far side, PNRA Mercer B in fifth, followed by Oakland Strokes rounding out our 6 boats in this men's youth 2v8 final, semi-final 1.
So Prep showing that tradition. They won the men's youth 8 last year here at the 2021 U.S. Rowing Youth National Championship, and now their 2v8 has qualified by winning the first AB semifinal to go straight